Right, I'm going to try and plan this essay, which is discuss the role of neural or hormonal mechanisms in aggression. The examiner says there are 8 and 16 marks. This is always AO1, and this is always AO2 or 3. The AO1 marks are for knowledge. Some of those may be gained from knowledge of studies, but in this one, although it just says discuss, there's going to need, because it says there's 8 marks, some outline of the role of neural and hormonal mechanisms in the essay. So when planning it, I'm going to think about what I'm going to put in that may get me those AO1 marks, that knowledge. So I'm going to put knowledge of role. I know that neurotransmitters if imbalanced are linked to aggression, and I'm planning, so I'm using a lot of shorthand. I know that the neurotransmitters that are really important in aggression are serotonin, and I'll explain that aggression is linked to low levels of serotonin. I will also note that the role may be different in men compared to women, as serotonin interacts with testosterone, testos for short. So I'm showing my knowledge here that dopamine activity is too high in aggression, and that high levels of testosterone are linked to aggression as well. I could just focus on one of these in this essay. I could just focus on neurotransmitters or hormones, but I might be limited in terms of the knowledge there. If I'm a bit worried that this knowledge won't be quite enough, I could also mention that abnormalities in brain structure, particularly in the amygdala, brain structure perhaps I should also say, or brain function in the amygdala or the frontal it's just a plan so it doesn't matter, lobes linked to aggression. Okay. I could possibly say that the imbalances could be temporary or permanent. So an example of a temporary factor that may cause imbalance might be alcohol. Something that may permanently affect it could be genes. Okay, so I've blasted all my knowledge. I have to work out how to put it into the essay. Okay, and this may be a longer plan than you do in the essay, in the exam, but at this stage you're just getting to grips with everything that you're learning, so you may want to spend longer planning. AO2, AO3, I'm going to need to think about my 7 steps. Okay, so I'm going to need to think, is there any evidence? I might want to focus, say, on serotonin, where we've got Leonard, monkey study, where we've got Brown, and that was the cerebrospinal fluid study, and then Man, which manipulated serotonin. I may want to then, before I talk about the testosterone, decide what's my line of argument going to be. I know what the knowledge is, but I need to discuss the role. Is this explanation, neural or hormonal mechanisms for aggression, any good? So what's my line of argument? What I'm going to argue is that there is overall good evidence and I'm going to say why. There's a range of studies supporting the role of serotonin. They come from humans and non-human animals, and a range of methods. Correlation and experiment. So I'm going to work towards that being a good piece of evidence, but I'm going to show balance. Serotonin, not the only factor. None of those studies would really lead you to conclude that serotonin is the only factor. Oh, I'm talking away here, I'm not sure you can see this. I'll photograph it in a minute. So my plan's getting quite big here. I'm thinking I might then mention a little bit of evidence for testosterone. So you can see this here. To show that I know that there is evidence that that plays a part. So I might mention the DABS study, and I think I'm going to have to check. I don't have total recall. I also think that the Curry study, or the Van Goosen Curry study, that's the correlational. This is experimental. So together they produce some nice evidence. I must make sure that I have my debate, and I'm going to focus on nature, nurture. Testosterone and serotonin levels can be influenced by genes and very early experience, like abuse. Nurture, I'm going to focus on the idea that things like alcohol and the environment influence these biological factors. Could even mention conditioning there. If I had time, I might mention Ferrari. I want to think what my overall conclusion is going to be. If I think about that, I might try and lead my examiner to it. I'd say strong evidence for role of neurotransmitters and hormones, but full explanation requires environmental, requires behavioural, social approach as well. Okay.